Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. We've got our very own Oscar Sosa here, who's one of our sales managers in Newport Beach. How you doing, Oscar?
Doing well, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Hey, so before we get started, why don't you share? I just kind of said who you are and what you're doing, but why don't you share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Steve. So, Oscar Sosa again. I've been now with Loan Depot for about 6.5 months, going on 7. I've been in the industry roughly started in 2003. So I've seen the ups and downs, but more or less, this is probably my first go around a non-bank environment. So I think we could add a lot of value in terms of what big banks do, small banks, but for the most part, who I am. I've been in lending for 16, 17 years now. I graduated from Laverne, got my MBA there. Family man, I got 3 kids. So that's always a challenge, especially in these times.
Yeah,
But here
young
we
ones
are.
too, right?
Yeah.
That's
So I have a
impressive.
6-year-old. I have a 6-year-old, which is my oldest girl. And then I have a 4-year-old girl, and then a 1-year-old son.
I love
So
it.
it's exciting. We're at exciting times.
Yeah. Hey, so what do you think sets you apart as a leader in the mortgage business, and what fires you up about, the day to day of what we get to do?
Well, I think they go hand in hand in terms of like what fires me up as well as what sets me apart. One of the biggest things that I've always prided myself with is just rolling my sleeves and being in the trenches. So enjoying the sales aspect of it, trying to overcome the day-to-day objections that we see, whether they're from a customer prospect to realtors, partners, financial advisors, operations teams. My biggest thing, I've always developed it with my team, would always be the aspect of like, how do you get better, right? So how do we tweak the system to be more efficient? And I think that's the biggest thing that we want to look towards, is saying, it's easy for us to kind of blame operations or, say, hey, we're backlogged or pricing is this way. But I think a lot of times is when you're butt up against operation delays or anything like that, there's always ways that we can tweak our system to ensure that we have a better flow throughout. And I think those are the biggest lessons that I've taken away in my career in terms of where we can take kind of just minor tweak and be way more efficient with it. And I think being in the trenches helps because you learn the lingo, right? You learn how to push files through, the headaches that go with what my sales teams go through on a day-to-day basis. So they're not really yanking your chain per se. You're kind of there and saying, hey, I'm doing the same thing you are. I understand that, these are the roadblocks that we're going through, but let's push through and let's find a way to get better.
Yeah. And I know you're not one to toot your own horn, but in your 6.5 months, you've done over like 26 or 27 million in volume. And what's it like coming
Yeah.
out of, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, and it came during a time that obviously we were building up our operations team. So, we've done a lot of growing. I think that for me probably was the biggest Mount Rushmore in terms of seeing, not only were we vocal, we meaning Loan Depot, were we vocal about, hey, we want to attract top talent, we want to hire a bunch of people, but they threw numbers out there, right? 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. And to me, it was just astronomical to see that, the company was investing that much resources into where the business was going. And it just kind of speaks volumes to skating where the puck is going, not necessarily where it is.
Oh, definitely. Hey, and having most of your career being in a bank environment, what are some of the things that you've been able to experience now being in a mortgage bank, non-bank environment that have created more value for you?
Well, outside of being more fun, it's definitely been a breath of fresh air for sure. But all jokes aside, I think like you said, I spent the majority of my time in bank, so we're aware of regulations, we're aware of the compliance aspect of it, and nothing changes from that regard. But where the tweaks happen, we're no longer a line item, right? We are mortgage, and that's all we do, and we pride ourselves in trying to do that as effectively and efficiently as possible to just push to that end result, whether it's a happier customer or a new homeowner, push them all the way down the line. And we do feel the team dynamic a lot better. This is a family, the company, and as well as the clients feel that embrace. and they're not just isolated and put on an island. But yeah, coming from big bank per se, it is a little bit different. It's different from the relationships that we're able to build, the reputation that we withhold and stand true to. But more importantly, like I said, it's being able to give them a commitment. So if we say, hey, we're going to get your loan approved, or we're going to get it closed, or if I speak to a partner and they're going to get it closed and they feel that they have our support, it's going to get done. And I think, there isn't any red tape here. There's no bureaucratic anything. It's just, we're here to do mortgages, and we're doing it as profitable as we possibly can. And, ultimately we're running with the client's best interest in mind. And that to me has been a breath of fresh air, because I know if I needed to, I can lean on on our leadership team, on our management team, to just push everything through for us.
Hey, and coming from a bank, I think a lot of people are not as aware, but the whole idea of temporary authority and how you don't have to get your, state, there's a federal exemption in banks. You can lend in all 50 states. You don't have to do any state specific stuff, but then here's a mortgage bank. You have to be licensed in each state. What was that process like for you? Because I think as I talk to some people, like they're uncertain what it's going to be like. And their perception is that it's going to take a lot of time and be like the compliance training and everything they had at the bank, but more. What was that like for you?
Well, it was a little unique for me because I had dabbled in, call it right, in non-bank world before. So I came licensed already. It was dormant, but it was licensed. And then fortunately, like you said, I had the ability to take advantage of the temporary authority also, because I came directly from a bank. So from an origination standpoint, there wasn't a gap. It was literally plug and play. I was able to originate. Nothing changed, other than certain things that happen behind the scenes with the licensing. And we have a fantastic licensing team here. So I think that just puts everybody at ease. They were on top of it. It wasn't, I would get notified at the same time that NMLS would notify me. Our compliance team would notify me in terms of any changes that needed to happen. So that's always good, because as an originator, you come in and you're kind of, your number one concern is, how do you get started? How do you get started right away? How can I input loans? How fast can I input loans? What roadblocks am I going to hear? And, unfortunately, as a management team, we can only do so much. But fortunately for us here at Loan Depot is we have, teams on top of teams that just specialize in making sure that that onboarding piece is just fine tuned and as perfect as can be.
Yeah, Anna and her team do a phenomenal job there too. It seems like they're just responsive, proactive, and like you'd said, like that information is instant. So they make it a lot easier if you want to make a transition.
And it wasn't only our compliance team, right? I could say the same for our marketing team, that we can say, hey, this is my past clients, and I want to, be top of mind to. How do I continue to be top of mind to my existing book or portfolio? And they did that as well. So there's a lot of systems that are built. And I think, for me personally, where I come, let's say, from an old school mentality, pen and paper, phone number, just give me a number, I'll call someone. It's different to be able to use a database or CRM to actually prospect for you. Whereas before, you're stuck to certain silos or how to acquire your business. And I think that was, for me, one of the biggest reasons to joining Loan Depot at the time that I did was it was technology driven, and it's a technology forward company. And for me, that was definitely important, right? I couldn't have come at a better time.
I totally agree. Hey, so, and now that you're here, obviously we're building teams with you, and you're going to be sales leading these people. What are some of the skill sets that you bring to the table that make you a strong leader for people, both on the sales and operations side? As you, like you had said, you're in the trenches, you're originating loans, you've got people you're working with and helping them remove obstacles so they can, have a better potential here than maybe they would have had in their current place. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the biggest advantage that you have is because I'm in it, right? I've always used the analogy or the coin, like, you want to know where the dead bodies are buried, right? So, I know who to go to for underwriting support, who our operations support people are, and you've earned the right or the trust in kind of based on the product quality that you put on the table, right? So when
Mhm.
they get a phone call from me personally, they're like, okay, his files are semi-decent or clean, or they should go pretty quick. So they expect that my team's files should go pretty quick. So to answer that question in terms of, what we're looking for to build a team here is, we want hungry, driven individuals that are ready to take their business to the next level. So I won't put a dollar amount on it because that's market specific. But if you're looking to grow, you're looking to just take your business to the next level. I definitely would love to see that. Culture to me is important. Having the right fit. Just open transparency, and not necessarily being stuck to my old ways. Right. I think that's the most important. Is we hear that a lot. Is, oh, where I came from or where I used to go. The beauty about it is Loan Depot. All of us are in business, quote unquote, for ourselves, right? We brand ourselves, we run our business individually. There's no two markets that are the same. There's no two LOs that are the same. So that being said, is fit is important, and development is important. And for me, is how can I strengthen the LO, or how can I add more value to them on a day-to-day basis? And that to me comes from also being in their shoes, always kind of being seeing it from their perspective in terms of what are the challenges that they may face, right? I need to ensure that my teams are funding as fast as they possibly can, so that pay isn't an issue, right? So that they're not stressed out about where the next meal is coming from per se, right? So I think all these things that as an originator, people are afraid to say, and it just comes out as natural stress, right? It's like, hey, and then they beat up my operations team, or they beat up our, myself or realtors or any of these referral partners. That's peeled back because we do close quicker, right? So then pay becomes quicker. Then our programs, there's no overlays really, right?
And it
So I
frees
think
them up to go out and generate more business, right? Which is really what you want.
absolutely. Well, and ideally is you're looking for the individuals that are just hungry, wanting to go and hunt more deals. And we take a lot of the time that's necessary, at a bank, let's just keep it real. They're originating, they're processing, they're stacking files. It's a lot of paperwork. They don't have the technology. They're not pushing the clients a lot of the interfaces that we do, where everything could potentially be green or just be quicker, more efficient. And they have to originate themselves. They're the point of contact. They're the processor. They're the underwriter. They're the closer. They're everything. And that weighs on people. And that it's really difficult for you to go from 30 million to 70 million to 100 million if you're doing all of that.
It's not even possible, right? Yeah, I've always felt like people will be open to change if you can show them how to create more efficiency in their business, and that efficiency gives them time back. And that time is either for some work-life balance because they don't want to work 14-hour days, or it's to get some extra time in the day to go out and build their business, under leadership like yours.
Well, and the thing about it is it's more time, right? It's doing the things that you love doing. That's the number one. When I sit down with the recruiter, right? When I sit down with the people on my team and saying, where do you see your business? Like, what do you like doing? Do you like going to the grocery store? And do you think that that's where you're going to get your business? Then model your platform around that. You know what I mean? Or if now you have little kids and you're, obviously COVID's a little bit different, but before, when we were all doing activities with, sports or whatnot, like let everybody know. I feel like a lot of people were ashamed in the past to say that they were mortgage originators. Now it's like, yeah, this is what I do. I create dreams. I finance the American dream. Like we're important. We matter, And I think that there's always a place for us, and we got to continue to shine for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing all that. And then just before we get going, you hit on it a little bit in the beginning, but who is Oscar Sosa outside of the day-to-day mortgage grind?
So outside of the mortgage grind, very, very basic, right? So I spend time with my kids as much as I possibly can, so that means, working late nights and things like that to get caught up. That works too. But for the most part, it's balanced. It's fun. I've been married for 10 years. We have 3 kids, so I've been in the same city for the last 10 years. So it's kind of, I live in Diamond Bar, so it's really, really easy to call that home now. But it's a lot of fun. I have nephews that I spend time with. Basketball is what I spent the majority of my time playing with when they were open, when we were able to see rims open at parks, right? But yeah, basketball, running, long walks on the beach, just kind of cheesy things like that. But yeah, nothing fancy. You know what I mean?
So what I'm
Occasional.
hearing is if someone is wanting to grow their business, work with an awesome leader that's transitioned from bank to non-bank, maybe play some one-on-one when they put nets back on the hoops, like you're the guy.
Oh yeah, I'm in. So any challenge you got around that, I'm definitely in. You know, a little rusty, but for sure we'll get back on it.
I love it. All right. Well, hey, thanks for your time. It's been awesome working with you. I know we've got big plans for this year, and I'm here for you, and I'm excited to be able to work with you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Steve. Talk soon.